right, mic check, mic check. More the Masters podcast. Y'all's main, of course. I got a special guest across from me. Got Mr. Tyrone Butler. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good, man. Definitely a much requested guest over the past few years. Like I told you off camera, I'm not necessarily from Augusta. I do claim it though, but to know the ins and outs, the history. So it's funny that even me being here for as long as I've been here, still day to day learning new things, learning about new people who mean a lot to the city and just the cult art in itself, and the environment. I think that's a good thing. So last year I had Chantel Wheeler. She was on an episode I did with a guy named Carlton Clay, who also is in film and art as well. And to me, those are like big people to me, right? To me. And so she mentioned it. Like, mind you, it's a year ago now. So it's a long time ago. And I said, yeah. I'm like, of course. Why? Because, I get a lot of flack sometimes if I do a lot of art, a lot of sports content versus like arts. I'll get calls like, hey, don't forget this art show over here. Or don't forget this. So I try to balance the two. So anytime I hear about someone in the art world, especially in Augusta, Georgia, who was very monumental, I'm like, yeah, sure. They don't need to know the background. Just I'll find it out when I talk to them. Just yes. And so so you are the founder of the Augusta Mini Theater.
Right. Correct.
Okay. Before we get into your story, talk a little bit about that. We'll get into it later on as well, but I just want to kind of tell people what that is and kind of how long y'all been around.
Well, we started October 8th, 1975. At that time, I was volunteering after my job at the Wallace Branch with some teenagers. I was just 20-something myself, but I was working with some teenagers. And I always wanted to be a singer, dancer. One time I thought that I was going to be the second coming of James Brown. So that's how old I am. So I just
You used to dance like James Brown?
I had the rhythm.
Okay, okay.
I had the split. I had the stuff,
The curls too?
No, not the hair,
Okay.
but just the talent. And so I went to the library that day, and I said to Mrs. Cummings, the librarian, let's do some shows over here. She said, what kind of shows? I said, like Johnny Carson, the old Johnny Carson. And instead of coming out and telling jokes, I'll come out singing. And then I'll have my guests, and I'll interview them in front of a live audience. And she said, write it up. I did. She said, I'll take it to the main library, and they'll see if they'll approve you doing it here. And they did. And she said, I guess a few weeks later, she said, well, wait. They said yes, but so when do you want to have your first show? I just pulled a date out of the sky, and I said, October 8th. And she said, well, Tyrone, that's just 2.5 weeks away. You can't do it that quickly. And but I wasn't listening to that anymore. It was on. My mind, my young mind was moving. And she talked to me about an hour and a half about the ups and downs of starting stuff. And so I wasn't listening. It was there. It was like God had put it there, and I'm moving. And she said, okay, you still want to have it on October 8th? Yes. And October 8th came, and I tell everybody, after October 8th, the first mini theater show, I've been broke ever since. So we did it. I came out, and I did my songs, a couple of songs, a little Frank Sinatra, there's some nice songs, Nat King Cole. And I had a live audience. I had people I interviewed from different TV stations that particular night. And I had a group called the T-Bone Express. Now, T-Bone is a nickname of mine, but so they called themselves the T-Bone Express. They were our first students. And I had an audience. We had radio advertisement. We were advertised on television. It was free. And we had 9 people in the audience.
Oh, wow.
Right, my mama, my brothers and sisters. And actually, IoT, nobody came, really. But we did the show on that October 8th, and that's how we really got started. And I tell people I started the mini theater for people like me. And when I say that, a lot of people think, oh, for African Americans. But that wasn't in my mind at the time. When I said people like me, I meant people like me that had a talent. I had talent. And they didn't have the financial means to go somewhere and train. And keep in mind, I grew up during segregation. At
Mm-hmm.
the time of segregation, legally, it was legal, and so if we could have gone to one of the theaters in Augusta or one of the dance programs, I didn't know it, or I didn't feel we could.
It wasn't even a thought in your mind to
It wasn't
even
even
try that.
there. It was there. It was just segregation. I remember the going to stores in downtown Augusta, and you had colored water and you had white water, and so it was in me that everything was segregated. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess without saying it, I was saying African Americans because people like me, I only knew people like me.
Right.
I never had a white friend. I never. I didn't look a white person into the eyes until I was out of college and had my first job, and so there was the many things that people like me. So that's what we did. We became the first art school in Augusta,
Wow.
public or private. That, in other words, we had great programs around town. Don't get me wrong, but if you wanted to take dance, you had to go to Augusta Ballet. If you wanted to be an actor, you went to Augusta Players. But now you can come to the mini theater on the one roof and take all of it.
Mm.
You can take dance, you can take acting, you can take visual arts, you can take music. And we became the first. Now we didn't know that back then. I wasn't brilliant back then, so but it would just happen
Yeah.
that way. So that's the little history of the mini theater.
I do want to, before I'm gonna get to your story, I want to get to that one part you said I think is very important for even artists today, and this is 50 something years from then. You said October 8th.
Mm-hmm.
What year was that? Do you remember?
1975.
Jesus Christ.
1975.
1975.
Yeah.
My mom was 5.
Oh man.
Well, you said October. Yeah, she was 5. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was negative 15 years old, so I was somewhere.
Somewhere.
Maybe. But I did want to ask, because even 50 years fast forward, I think artists today still struggle with a mindset that you didn't have, you had differently. Your first show, you had a live audience. You mentioned it being 9 people, and a lot of it being your family
Mm-hmm.
to make that 9 people up.
Mm-hmm.
That night when you performed, did the 9 people affect your judgment of like, or your mental as far as like, oh, nobody's here, or did you feel like I'm about to give these 9 people a show?
Well, I felt great. I was singing. I didn't dance, but I was singing. But I did choreograph a piece with the T-Bone Express, their performance.
Mm-hmm.
So the audience. One thing in theater, I learned right off. If you have one person in the audience, you must do your best. You must entertain that person, or even if you educate that person in that audience. So one person would have made me feel good. It's even I remember one time we went to Georgia Southern, and we did a show, and they didn't announce it to the students, and the whole place, they done paid us a little money to come, transportation, lodging, and there were only 2 people. And so the cast said, "Are we going to do the show?" Oh yes, we're going to do the show. If there is one, we're doing the show. So 9 people, that was great. That was great to me. I felt like I was, on TV.
Now, that was times 9 than what you was thinking anyway. So.
Yeah, I was doing it. So yeah.
But I did want to ask you, just in addition to that, even after that 9 people in the audience, and some being your family, some being your friends, what have you, what at that night, even though you didn't get the whole city to come out or whatever the case may be, what made you feel like I gotta keep going now? Now this is what I want. This is going to keep me going here.
Well, as I said, the T-Bone Express, they were young, they were in high school, and so it was for them then. It was about, you got students, and it's you got to continue it now. It's like I said, it's a marriage. Now you're married to the mini theater, and these kids are expecting to do this again and again. And keep in mind, African American kids back then didn't have a whole lot outside of church and maybe school chorus. So they were really excited about it, So I was excited about it because they were excited about it. And then we did our next show, which was in December. We did a Christmas type show, and we had Santa Claus and all that, and a lot of these kids hadn't even seen a black Santa Claus, and really, back
Yeah.
in that day. So we had a black Santa Claus, and I didn't know what that meant to them back then. Now I know when I look back. So finally, the third show was at C.T. Walker's auditorium. If you've been in there, it's huge. It was free. We had people everywhere. Wow, we have made it. This is it. This is the first year, and we got all these people. And but then the band guy, he said, "Mr. Butler, this the show getting ready to start.
Yeah.
Mr. Butler, I left one of my cards home, so I got to go home and get the card." And I said, "Go home." He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we got to start the show in a few minutes." He said, "I'll be right back." Okay. So his instruments and equipment, they were on the stage. And so we started with no sound. My kids up there dancing like this with no music. And it was terrible. And then he came back. So I said, "Don't worry about it now. We started now. And it won't take me long. Won't take me long." I said, "Are you going to make noise?" "No, sir, I ain't gonna make no noise, So he went up there, and now they got to tune the piano. I mean, the guitar, and people. I looked at it in the audience, man. The kids were playing, and I don't know how they got on top of the building. And it was embarrassing. It was a disaster.
Oh, man.
And first big audience, third show, and so now the show is over, and we're cleaning up, and some of the students are whispering to each other. They call me T-Bone too. I guess T-Bone is not gonna have another show. I guess this is it, isn't it? They talking to each other, and I'm thinking to myself, the next show, this is what we're gonna do. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. And that's how I was ready. I was hurt over it, but it's done.
You just gotta pivot and adjust.
Yeah, now let's go to the next one. So we improved upon it.
Well, I'm gonna ask more about the mini theater shortly. We'll get into that, but I always start the podcast out with trying to get to know the individual himself or herself. And so, talking to you briefly off camera, you're from Augusta, Georgia, born and raised, right?
Right.
All right. So that's amazing. I like that. Talk a little bit about, and I know you kind of briefly touched on some stuff, but talk a little bit about Augusta. Coming up for you in Augusta, what was that like, and what was Augusta like back in your era?
Well, first time remembering being alive, I was living in Gilbert Manor. Gilbert Manor is an old project.
Yeah.
They've torn down MCG, Augusta University. That's where my first home, and we lived in a downstairs, upstairs, and a lot of things happened there. I got my first birthday party, and I don't think I've had one since. So I had a birthday party, and I would say out loud at night. I would play cowboy, pow, pow, ride the horse. I made all those sounds late night, and my daddy hollered at me, "Boy, go to sleep and stop shooting those cowboys." He didn't know. I didn't know. I was telling him who I was, what I wanted to be. And I think now we don't get it to this day. Children do things and we shut them down. But I think I was telling them, what I wanted and to be. And so I didn't get that encouragement, from my father. But I used to wet the bed when I was 2, 3 years old. And instead of my father trying to help me stop wetting the bed or send me somewhere or put whatever, he would whip me.
Yeah.
I got a beating every morning of my life. So sometime I would try not to wet the bed and not go to sleep. And but I would fall asleep. And the next day the bed would be wet. And then the other adventurous side of me was Easter. My mother had bought some Easter dresses for my 2 sisters. And I had matches. and you know the little
The pocket.
sachet thing
Yeah.
they tie up behind them. And I took a match and I lit it to the tail of the little sachet, and then like Superman, I could put it out. Boom, and I did. About 4 or 5 times. Now, you know, Easter hadn't gotten there yet. Mama gonna see this dress burning,
Right,
but your
right.
mind ain't, you know, your
So
mind.
you just doing it time after time.
Time after time. So this last time, I did it, and I couldn't put it out, and then the whole room got caught fire.
Oh damn.
And God, I'm going like, uh-oh. So my mama's in the room upstairs, and I go in the room. I said, Mama, our house on fire. What? Our house on fire. She didn't believe me until the smoke started coming toward the bedroom.
Did you say it that calm?
Yeah,
That's probably
Mama.
why. Yeah, she probably like, you just talk.
Mama. I'm just 3, maybe 4.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's
And,
different.
yeah. And so fire people came, and you know, back then you could beat your children for doing this, that, and the other. And I just knew my dad was gonna kill me when he got home from work. And he looked at me and he said, I'm gonna send you to a reform school. And that broke me down. I was so hurt. I'd rather have gotten a beating, you know. But
Yeah.
even that was one expression of mine. It was wrong expression to burn the house down. But this was me. I wanted to do something. I didn't know I wanted to be on stage. I didn't know that. And so Gilbert Manor was the first time being alive, and I remember being alive. And I went outside of Gilbert Manor one day and I saw the green light pole, and I said to myself, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life, and I do. That one moment, that one day, and so it was segregated. Eventually, went to Collins Elementary School, and I used to stutter.
I do it now, actually. How'd you stop?
Well, I was in a play in 7th grade, and my line was, Tom Sawyer, come go with me, and let's go fishing. And I said to myself, if they laugh at me, I'm going to beat up everybody in the school.
Yo.
You know, so in my day, you had to be
You was
in a
gonna
fight.
crash out?
I was going to go off. And so I'm back there rehearsing Tom Sawyer. I mean, I used to kick with it, you know, come, you know. And so now it's my time. And I went out and I said, Tom Sawyer, come go with me and let's go fishing. And I've never stuttered since. I haven't stuttered since.
Oh, I'm clapping up for you. That's a good story right there. I like
So
that.
it was staged. I was on theater. It was staged. I didn't know that then either. And so played a little football at Collins and lived right around the school, around the street from the school. And then we had a homecoming parade. Collins was something else, Ursula Collins School, elementary school. And I wanted to be, in order to be in the parade, you had to wear blue pants, black shoes, and a white shirt. And so Mama, that morning, ironed my blue pants, and she scorched it, the blue pants. So I went to school, 7th grade, and no, it wasn't 7th grade, it was like 4th grade, really. And with this guy named Paul, he could beat everybody in the 4th grade unit. He could beat everybody. You had to be in a fight back in my day now.
Yeah,
So he could beat everybody, so they say. And so I went in there, I'm ready to be in the parade. He said, man, where you going with them scarf pants on, man? Where you going? You ain't going to be in no parade looking like that. And it hurt me so bad I just started crying and fighting, right? And I picked him up and threw him over the desk, and that was it. See, in my day, a fight wasn't about stumping and beating. It was about picking somebody up and dumping them on the wrong. And that was it. In the next 2 seconds, you're friends again. And so from then on, I was considered could beat everybody
not
in
to
the
be
4th
messed
grade.
with. Yeah.
You know, and so I was in the parade. So that meant so much to me to be out there in that parade. Then I left there. We went to Davidson School, not Davidson, the Fine Arts School, but it was called Telfair Street School. And we had to walk. I mean, it was like 2.5 miles every single day because they didn't want us to go to integrate. So we had to go all the way downtown to 8th grade, walking, rain, cold, whichever way. And we had talent shows, so there I was singing on talent shows.
I'm gonna come back a little bit because I want to make sure. Like, at what point in your life did you realize, oh, I can sing, I can sing?
You know, to be very honest with you, I never did feel like I could. Even to this day, I did it in the 8th grade. Now, nobody told me when you rehearse in the bathroom that your sound won't be the same in the auditorium. We were just a killing in the bathroom. Woo, blah, blah. And we went out there and got singing. They started, laughing. Right?
Oh, but you grew up in the era of like singing on the street, like, right? Y'all was singing.
Yeah.
I guess kind of how you caught your girl sometimes. You'll sing to them
Yeah,
and
you
stuff
sing
like
to
that's that
them,
era. Yeah, what was that era like? What was that
Well,
like?
that was good if you could sing. Girls liked you, So
But you said you could sing, though,
I
right?
couldn't sing. I didn't know I could. I did it, but I didn't. But I didn't have a lot of girlfriends either, so maybe that was it. But I was in the group, and so then 12th grade at Josie, singing again, and Laney High School had a talent show, right? And so my group was called the Bingos. Well, we said Bangos, but we didn't know the difference. But it was supposed to be said the Bingos, but we said Bangos.
Bangos.
So there we were going to a talent show at Laney High School, and we just going to the talent show. We gonna pay out 50 cents and get in, and then they
50 cents.
50 cents to get in.
You know the basketball games now $11.
Yeah. We paid 50 cents to go in. But when we got to the door, they said, "Oh, the Bangos. So y'all gonna be on the talent show?" I'm saying no to myself. We're not gonna be on the talent show. We haven't practiced. And then the leader said yes. So we got in free. So now we got to be on the talent show, and we don't have the guitar. So we got to send the guy home, go get the guitar, and now it's time for the not mini theater, but us, the Bangos, to perform. We gonna lay in the stage. Laney had one way in and one way out in the auditorium. And so we got on stage, man. We started singing, and Laney's students started booing and laughing, and they all walked out of the gym.
Oh man!
And there we were, still on stage, and nobody in the gym. And so I'm so hurt. Can we get out of here going through the back door? But they didn't have a back door. So now when we came off stage, now we got to walk out, and the people in the audience came back in. That's how bad we were.
God.
So anyway, but I loved it, still loved it, and I went to Albany State and got in the chorus. Now I did a little better in the chorus at the choir at Albany State College.
I know you want to talk about Albany, but like, what'd you do at Josie?
Josie, I played football.
Okay, so you an Eagle.
Yeah, I'm an Eagle.
I'm clap it up for you. I gotta clap it up. You can't skip over Josie now.
Yeah, you can't skip over Josie. I was one of the Josie opened in 1964. And I was, along with hundreds of other students, we were the first students to ever walk in Josie. Okay?
This is the Mini Theater is monumental, but this what you're saying right now is super monumental. So you mean tell me you one of the first students?
First students to walk in Josie the first day of school.
Wow.
And when they were constructing it, they had these signs saying no trespassing. We couldn't read, so we trespassed. Anyway, we couldn't stay in one of those holes. We didn't know. So anyway, I was one of the first students to go there, played on the first football team.
And Josie opened 1964.
1964.
So you're a freshman going to high school. You fresh. When
I was
there,
Josie. I was going in 10th grade.
Okay.
See, A.R. Johnson had 9th grade for blacks. And so Josie opened up, boom, 10th grade.
10th, 11th, 12th.
Well, at that time, we only had up to 11th. We had 8th grade to 11th. and then as the 11th graders got to be seniors, then we had 12th grade. So that's how that went. And so, like I said, I was in the on the football team. Loved hitting people. Loved hitting the ground. I loved it. And I ended up getting my leg broke in the 10th grade, Josie's first year. And my kneecap was like from right here, was down here. That's how bad it was. And I had a torn ligament and a fractured bone. And went to University Hospital. University Hospital was segregated. And we had to go into the colored section. and they had one little bed for colored people, so to speak. And a guy from Lena was on the bed. He had messed his finger up. I got a broke bone, broke leg, and I got to sit in a chair and wait until they get his finger straight. And so went there anyway. It was difficult. Stayed in hospital about 2 weeks. Stayed out of school the whole semester. I had
Well, just maybe I'm not following. So when you stay in the hospital for 2 weeks, can the other kid come in there? Like, can somebody else get hurt that's black? Is it fine?
yeah. Well, yeah, they had what they call a colored ward.
Okay.
So we were on the colored ward, and you could hear people who were really in pain. I was in pain. I had to have a shot every 4 hours. It was just that painful.
Just to paint this picture, as you're waiting
Mm-hmm.
to be seen, mind you, your kneecap is to your shin at this point, right?
Right.
Somebody got a paper cut pretty much,
Mm-hmm.
and you're waiting to be seen.
I'm waiting.
And you hollering in there, and you're sitting with that pain.
Right.
And
in
every
the
4
same
hours they're
room
giving you a
with-
shot.
with this guy who had a finger issue. And then once they got through with him, they put me on. They had to stretch the leg out. That was hard. They were taking X-rays and all of that. So
Was it black doctors, white doctors?
white doctors?
Well, I'm just asking this. I just got to ask because I don't know who else to ask. What was the treatment like there? Did you feel like they treated y'all well still? Like,
Yeah, I didn't see any issue with that.
Okay.
On the colored ward, you had mostly black people working, made the beds up, and one thing happened while I was there. That lady, she was the mother of one of my classmates, and she said, "Hey, Tyrone," I said, "How you doing?" She said, "I'm getting ready to make your bed." I said, "But I just had surgery, and my leg was up on the pillows, 3 pillows." I said, "How you gonna make my bed and I'm in it?" She said, "Oh, we got a technique. We know how to do it." I said, "Okay." So she got the sheet and did this and did that. She said, "Okay, 1, 2, 3," and she pulled it, and my leg fell off the pillow, and I'm stuck between the bed and the
oh
floor.
man,
I'm
that's
like
the
this.
technique.
Yeah, that's the technique. I'm screaming and hollering. And she, "Oh my God!" They go get the people. They take me back to X-ray and see if there's any more damage and all that. But that was just one of those experiences. But like I said, segregation. I grew up in that era.
Yeah.
And but now 11th grade. Now I'm playing football again. You would never think I'd ever play football again. But our coach, Mr. Henry Daggett, I loved him like he was my father.
That Daggett name just don't go away. That's in Augusta forever, ain't it?
Yeah, he was.
So is that Daggett attached to Josie somehow, some way?
Yeah. And he was at A.R. Johnson. He was the coach too. Then when they built Joe's in '64, he came over.
Okay.
And so he was my coach there, and so anyway, now I'm back, and now this is crazy. I got to break somebody else's leg.
Oh man, you don't have to,
We
but
were
you did it
tough.
anyway. Yeah.
We were tough, right? And so I wasn't going to hit this guy that hard that day. So what happened? I'm in the huddle. I said, they say we're going to do a power sweep to the right, and I'm playing right guard. So my job is to pull out and lead the blocking for that halfback. And so I did that. We were in practice, so what? No big deal. So I just brushed up against him. But the guy made the tackle. And he yelled, "Yeah, man, I got by T, man. I did it. So I go back in the huddle. I say, "Yeah, we call the same play." And they called the same play, power sweep to the right. I pulled it. This time I pretended. That was the acting in me, I guess. He thought I was going to do the same thing, but then I just lit into him. Boom! And he broke his leg. And so now what? I'm really back. Somebody broke mine. Now I done broke somebody else. I know that sounds crazy now, but when you're 17, 16, 17,
Nah,
18,
man, it's
but
competitive.
football was like everything to me because, we had a great chorus. It's Alex McRae, blah, blah, blah. We had a great chorus. But the song we did, like La 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 and the Moon, I wanted to do Hit Me, you know what I mean? I wanted to do some Percy Sledge, you know what I mean? But we had a great chorus. McRae was a great teacher and went to Albany State. There I was again singing and doing my thing.
And I'm asking these questions just so I don't skip over too much, but your time at Josie, successful, you graduate, obviously, you finished out, you play sports. Did you get Letterman jacket back then? Did they give Letterman jackets out back then?
That was the first year. I wish I had brought my jacket. Well, not that jacket. I have a jacket, but
You do
not
got to
that
go.
year.
Okay, you do got
But
one.
not
Okay.
that year. But that was the first year they gave jackets in 1967.
Okay.
All seniors got jackets
Yeah,
that year.
I gotta get your number. Send me a picture of the jacket. I need to see how the jacket look. I need to see if that green's still green on that jacket.
Yeah, but it's not the same jacket now.
Got you.
But
You got to spruce it up over the years.
yeah,
Yeah, 50 years a long time. So,
yeah.
but what about Albany State made you want to go there, and then also even just going to college? Because you mentioned we kind of skipped over some stuff, but I want to go back a little bit too. In your time of playing sports and still being in theater and being around chorus and just the art world and then the sports world, what support did you get from your parents at that point, and then especially more specifically your dad?
Well, my mom and dad were divorced
Okay.
by that time, so my mom was very, very supportive. And but going back to Josie, I was not a very good student in my head. Um, I was just well known, popular amongst the teachers and students, and I was like the DJ on the radio as Josie. So I wasn't a very good student, and my SAT score was very low. But I wanted to go to college because my sister, who with Delaney, she made all A's, and I wanted to make A's too, but I don't know, I didn't feel I could, and so it goes all the way back to slavery. I think when that slavery, it gets into you the way they treated slaves, make you think they made them think they were dumb and stupid, some kind of way that got into me, and so I believe the darker you were, the dumber you were. And so now I go to I wanted to go to Albany State because a guy named Carl Burroughs lived on my street. He was going to Albany State, and he came back and said how great it was. So I wanted to go. But when I got there, this is what they told me. They said after they looked at my SAT score and my grades, they said you the highest grade you'll make in college will be, if you come to college, will be a D plus. D as in dog plus. So, and they told me that to my face. And I told Mama, I said, Mama, I don't think I'm going. And she said, oh, yes, you are. That was the end of that, right? And so I went and I believed what they said, first two semester quarters, and then they threatened to put me out. And Mama on the phone, I'm in Albany. I said, Mama, did my grades come in? Because I got to register tomorrow for the spring quarter. And she said, yeah, they came in. You got a D in biology. You got a D in English. You got a D in math. And you got a C in physical education. And that's when the water came. And she said, they are going to put you out if you don't improve this quarter. And I'm thinking, Mama gonna kill me. She's single with 5 kids now. Daddy done divorced, and she's sending me. I didn't have no grant, like no Pell Grant, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Just struggling. And I let her down. So she said, I thought she gonna kill me, like on the phone. How she gonna kill me on the phone? But anyway, she said, can't you take some of those grade classes you made bad grades in over? And then she said, I love you. And that's when it changed. It was like a cool sensation that came down through my body, and I knew that I was different. How different, I didn't know. The next morning, I went to register, and my advisor said, you are on academic probation. And if you don't do well this time, you won't be able to come back. And she looked at me, and she said, Tyrone, did you hear what I said? I said, yeah. She said, well, why are you smiling? I didn't know I was smiling. I was just different inside. And she said, you can only take 12 hours because you're on academic probation. I said, okay. Tyrone, you hear what I'm saying? Yes. I was different. And when I walked toward to get my classes over there where everybody was, I looked back and she wasn't looking. And I added 8 more hours, 20. Because what? I was different. And I knew it. I made all C's that quarter. They let me come back. Sophomore year, made all C's. And then my junior year, I said, if I can make C's, I can make B's. I made all B's my junior year. And then my senior year, I said, if you can make B's, you can make A's. The first semester, I made 3 A's and 1 B. And then I got a girlfriend.
Oh, that's it.
Then, pew, I was holding on for dear life. You know those issues. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, and I graduated, and I said to myself, Mama was there, and my sister was there, and I said, the world needs to know my story because I wasn't supposed to do this. I wasn't supposed to graduate. And so my first play, not my first play, but one of my plays was a one-woman show called The Johnny Williams Story. It's the story I just told you about my life, and my wife does it as a one-woman show. And so the world slowly is learning my life, my story through that particular play whenever she does it. So um, here I am now doing this, but I was supposed to not do any of this. I was dumb. I was ugly. See, anybody dark in my day were considered ugly.
Mm.
And
Why you think? Why you think that is? Why you think that was?
I think it just goes back to slavery. Anybody black, and even in slavery, as you know, the light complexion blacks worked in the house, and the dark complexion blacks worked in the field.
Yeah.
And so, even though that was not true in terms of being smart or dumb, I believed it. And you are the most important person in the world to that because it's in you. But here, we're able to do this, what we're doing the meditator from a little boy who they said the highest grade you're going to make in college would be a D as in dog plus.
Yeah. Speaking of overcoming some things too, I think that's a phenomenal story too. I'm just curious though. You mentioned it very briefly in the beginning. How would you either overcome or learn to stop like wetting the bed? Like what age would you say you stopped?
Well, it wasn't because my daddy would beat me. It's just something that happened. It was biology, and but my daddy didn't understand that, and it just stopped eventually, and I didn't do it anymore. But it wasn't because of the whippings, because it was a human thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think even just having family members that did struggle with that, even after like you're 4, 5, 6 years old, it's not that they do it on purpose. It's just what they do, until they know to one. And there's other ways, but I'm not. People do what they want to do. I mean, I can't tell anybody what to do, but I feel like there's so many different ways to parent or teach kids these days. So like, I always start with first. Okay, well, no more juice after 7. Let's start there. We're gonna stop your liquid intake, and you're gonna pee at 9, and you'll make your bed 10. Make sure you pee again. Then it's just different measures you'll take to ensure or try to stop that problem from happening. But like I said, times are so different than back in the day than it is now, and then knowledge too.
But there was a young man in school. His name was Melvin, and every day around a certain time he would wet his pants. This is 7th grade, and everybody called him P-Boy.
Oh man,
yeah, P-Boy, and so I hated that, but I hated that I didn't do anything to try to stop it. I didn't know how, even though I was one of the so-called best fighters in 7th grade. Maybe if I had said something to some students, maybe they would have not did. But I didn't do it. I didn't pick at him, but I didn't do anything to stop it. And so one day I saw Melvin as an adult, and he was standing over on Druid Park Avenue, and he was like waiting for the bus. I said, Melvin, what's up, man? I'm grown. Minute they started. I said, I'll go tell Melvin, talk to him, and tell him, I apologize. And so I said, dog, I'm in a rush. I'll tell him the next time I see him. And the next time I heard about Melvin, he had been shot and killed. So I never got that chance to say to Melvin, I'm sorry that we did this. So what I did, I wrote a play. I wrote a play called Pickin', Pickin, and it's about picking on people. And so we did it at the Mini Theater, and I sent it off to the publishing company, Pioneer Drama Services, one of the largest one-act publishing companies in the country. And I just sent it to them. And a year later, they wrote me a letter and said, Dear Mr. Butler, thank you for writing such a wonderful play. Your style of writing, da-da-da-da-da. I'm saying, I didn't know I had a style. What style? And so they said, we would like to offer you a contract to publish your work. And in 2003, they published Pickin'. So Melvin's story has been helping young folk all over the country.
Wow.
It was being produced like 40, 35, 40 times a year by different theater groups around the country. Small theater groups, children theater groups were doing it. It has been produced since 2003. And it is now, we're now celebrating the 22nd anniversary or the 23rd anniversary, 22nd anniversary of Pickin being published. It was even read through when that bad thing we had, with COVID.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was read one time in Cleveland, Ohio, by a theater group. So Pickin.
You get like a notification every time somebody
Well, I
go
don't get a
live.
notification. I get at the end of the year, I get a little royalty fee.
Oh, okay, got you.
But what I do, I go online and I'll see it. I just put in Pickin, and if it's been produced, I'll see it. And
That's amazing though.
yeah,
That's
I
good
went
stuff.
online one year, and it was like North Carolina something middle school won first place the drama forensic competition. Drama forensic competition. And they presented the play Pickin, written by Tyrone Butler. I go like, what?
That's
So I
dope.
sent a letter to the school in North Carolina, in Charlotte. And I'm saying this, she never get this letter, the director. And she got it. She wrote me back, and she said the same thing. Thank you for writing such a wonderful play. Our students enjoyed doing it. It was so real. She said we'd never heard from an author. Whenever we did a play, we never heard from the author. This is the first time that the author has written us. And she said, again, thank you for writing such a wonderful play.
I want to say something about that because I think that what's amazing about that whole story was it's a few things amazing. But one is you even having the mindset to send it off, right? I'm gonna send it, but also thinking like I'm not gonna hand them back from it. But something in you is saying, but still, Tyrone, just go ahead and send it off. And then hearing back from them, and then having that publishing contract or whatever contract they gave you in 2003. Granted, you have been doing the mini theater for years at this point now, decades at this point now as well. And I think just any person that's in arts right now, I think I like that story because like just keep going, just keep going, don't stop, just keep going, continue to get your work put out there, continue to send your work off, and I think that it's gonna show off.
I never had a opportunity to take a writing class, like a playwriting class. I took a creative writing class once after I got out of college at Augusta. It was called Augusta College then.
Yeah, I know they changed name 50 times.
Yeah,
it's gonna change tomorrow. If we keep playing.
So I was in this class, and you had to write. They gave you a title. You had to write a little short story, and I hadn't written Pickin' or none of that. Hadn't even thought about the mini theater now, And so I just saw a class listed in the paper, and I went up there, creative writing, and there I took it. And so they had these people from different magazines there to read your work and give you a comment. And so I went up to the guy who had a little short story. It was like he was from Saturday Evening Post. That was a major magazine back then. And I said, what did you think about my short story? And he said, okay. He said, what's the name of it? And I told him, and he said, it wasn't very good. Wasn't very good at all. And I'm going like, oh. And I'm hurried inside. And then he saw me hurried, evidently. He said, oh, but how long have you been writing? I said, this is my first time. Oh, it wasn't bad for a first time. So, okay. And so now when here I am I learned everything. In other words, I learned everything about theater by doing theater.
Yeah.
I had no opportunity to take a writing class, a playwriting class. But one year at Augusta University, the same guy, place that told me it wasn't good, invited me to be a critic of plays for that particular Sand Hills Writing Conference. So there I was, being a critic, reading several plays and giving and grading them, so to speak. But but I didn't have a writing class.
Yeah.
I learned everything through life by living on my dirt street, Agnes Street, and I'm on that street to this day. And life and watching and writing about those people. It's like the Waltons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it came on TV. You know, he wrote about his life. And I'll tell any person who's going to be a writer, write about what you know, write about what you've experienced. And so and I'm writing a play now called All God's Children Got Guns. And it's about guns, you know. And I know one gay lady said, man, not all God's children don't have no gun, man. It's not that I believe that, but you don't know that.
Right. Right.
I mean, go to a red light and the car doesn't move in front of you and blow your horn 4 or 5 times. Go on. You see, and you don't do that anymore because what? All God's children got guns, and you don't know. So we're gonna do that soon, in a year or two again. But I learned everything from writing by doing the mini theater and life.
So we spoke about the minute in the beginning. I want to kind of double back to that. So after you graduate college, or you finish at Albany State, you come back to Augusta. You come back home. All right, so you come back home. Now you mentioned earlier too, like wanting to sing. And I guess the word would really be entertain. That's what it seemed like. You want to do everything, but loving to sing and dance and having this James Brown about yourself, right? And even going on tour, if I am mistaken. So like, talk about you exploring that avenue of just the singing and dancing first before you even opened the Augusta Mini Theater.
Yeah, I did all my life. I think I told you I enjoyed singing and dancing and record hops. We had record hops back in my day, and I was on the floor every record, you know, and all that stretching I did in football gave me the ability to split and then jump up and dance, keep dancing, and so really I was on a lot of talent shows in high school, college, got booed, and I could dance though. And Albany State, Dean Grant noticed that I could dance, and so they had this fundraiser for some project in the city of Albany, and he asked me if I would dance up against another student on campus.
Like go against.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So there we were. You know, he came out. His name was Ricky Hudson, and he could dance, and I could dance, and people the students were all in the auditorium, in the windows, and all that, and they raised a few dollars. So dancing was my best thing. And so then, of course, I lived there. And then eventually here in Augusta, I did a lot of talent shows. The Ambets on 9th Street, it used to be the Ambets. It was a nightclub. And this place I was working in 1972, they had a young adults. So I said, come on, y'all go with me to the Ambets. They got a talent show, and you win by applause. So if I take all y'all, you know, y'all come and go with me. So they said, okay. So we went to the Ambets that night, and I was on the talent show. And when I did my song, they just, yay! They yelled and screamed, right? And then another person came up, and they yelled and screamed again. I said, y'all not supposed to be strong. So I ended up tying for first place because my people up there cheering for the other person. So anyway, I did a lot of that, and I did a lot of weddings. And pageants.
Did you ever take singing lessons? I know you say you need to take writing lessons. Did you ever take singing lessons at all?
I tried. I took a few singing lessons, and I know the techniques. And see, in the chorus, you know, you got total technique.
Right.
At Josie and at Albany State, and but that was it. And then I got the opportunity to tour with Betty Swan. And Betty Swan had a hit song all over the country called Make Me Yours.
Make Me Yours.
Yeah, and a good beat to it. And she had a song called Good Things Come to Those Who Wait, But Don't Wait Too Late. And my job was to sing and open up for her and introduce her. And I did that for about 6 months or so. And then I said, I'm going to try to record a record. And so I went to this local record company, right? And I went in and I said, excuse me, how much does it cost to make a record? And he said to me, how much money do you have? I got $400 in the bank. He said, well, it'll cost you $400. I said, yes. Not knowing I was being taken. Yes, I got just enough. And so I recorded the record, and it was called Ghetto Boy. And I didn't write the record, so I didn't get that part of it either. And so I just recorded somebody else's song. So I got through with it. They said, we're going to send it to Henry Jerome Music in New York City. What? You going to send my song to be considered by Henry Jerome? I never heard of that, And so they sent it. And then the next thing I know, I got a contract to record 2 songs a year and go to New York and record twice a year to New York. So I'm thinking, wow, I got it. And so I decided I didn't have no money for a lawyer, so somebody told me to go see this particular lawyer who wouldn't charge me. And I showed him the contract, and I was so excited. He said, I'm not a contract lawyer. He said, but if you were to sign this contract and the songs you recorded made $1 million, your part wouldn't be enough for you to rent a car, put gas in it, and drive to New York to record. He said, they will own you for the rest of your life. So I decided, he said, tell them what you want. So I wrote them back and told them what I wanted, so to speak. And they sent my master tape back without comment. Says they were out to get me.
Yeah, they were trying to play you.
Boom. And so I was so disgusted. I was so hurt. I was ready to take it. I just wanted to be a singer. I wanted with all my heart and soul to be a singer. And then here is my master tape in the mail back to me. And so singing was up and down. And then, like I said, then 1975, here I am at the Wallace Branch Library. And I said, let's do some shows over here. And I thought that was going to give me a chance to sing and to sing. But then your children, like I said, it's like a marriage. Yeah. Children started coming, and how can you have 9,000 children? And that's what we've had.
Yeah,
they're scattered around the world.
Going back to the Betty Swan era for a second, what was that like to go on? Like, what did you? Because I know you had your own experience with making the demo and stuff. What was that like being on tour or just doing shows? I don't know what you call it, tours or doing shows with her. And did you learn anything from that part of the business that you kind of did bring later on to when you did your theater?
I learned about the background work of it. It's a lot of work. I was the only black guy in the band, so to speak. And they were in this bus. Betty was in a Cadillac.
She black though?
Yeah, black.
Right.
But the band was white. And so, we're traveling around Miss South, I guess you say. But there was a lot of preparation that we're getting to a city. Dun, dun, dun,
That's her?
That's her. Dun, dun, Betty Swan.
I never heard of before.
Yeah. Golden voice.
She is pretty though.
Mm-hmm.
I never had a love to call my own. I was about to give up, and then you came along just to have your attention.
I don't want to get no copyright on my YouTube video, so I ain't gonna play too much of it. But.
Oh man, she was just so beautiful, and the best part of it was the show itself. Your preparation. Like a lot of people, when they come in this space, and we've never had a performance in this space yet.
Yeah.
But when they come in this space, they won't know about all the hard work. For 25 years, we've been raising money to do both of these buildings here. And they don't know about that. That's the background, like with Betty Swan. And then, but when you're on stage, when I was up there introducing her, and that was the best part of it, the actual show. And then going to the back of the club and watching her perform. She was doing 2 shows a night. And I just watched her. Oh, she was just so beautiful, beautiful voice. And Frank Sinatra wanted to record her. At least that's what her husband said, George. He was her manager. And he had told me that he was going to record me. And he said, I'm going to record Tyrone. But that never came to be. But it was a wonderful experience of singing, introducing her, communicating with the audience. There, I mean, can you believe I'm up there singing Jerry Butler stuff, "Your Precious Love," and I never could remember my words. And so when I forgot my words, I would fall to my knees and I would start humming. And then the ladies in the audience, they thought it was so beautiful. I was on key. I just didn't know what my words were. So one night after the show, George, her husband, the manager, said, "Tyrone, when you gonna learn them D words?" And I said, "George, I can't get a chance. Y'all don't give me a chance." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "We get into a city, George. The next morning we have breakfast, and then we go to the club, set up the equipment, right? Do a sound check, and then I start practicing. Yeah, I start doing my song, Your Precious Love, practice, and then as soon as I get halfway, George, you walk in with Betty. And then when Betty walks in, I got to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got to give me some practice time." And so, he never got mad at me about it, but it was just like I had no time to go through the songs. So now when Betty gets through, guess what we got to do? Go to lunch.
Yeah.
So we go to lunch, and then we go to the hotel, get ready, and then we come back that night. So I don't give it. Then I start out rehearsing. Now Betty walks in. Now she got to rehearse at the club, the sound check. So y'all don't give me a chance. But it was a great experience. It was background work. But the greatest part is the actual show. And that's what the audience is here for. They don't care about, you don't have enough money. When they come here, they want to see the show.
When you think about them times back then, what was it like doing shows where obviously it's segregated? So did you ever feel like that did y'all want white people in attendance? Did y'all not want it? Like, did y'all prefer not to have it? Was it just such the norm that you never thought about it? Like, would that have changed things if things were integrated?
We didn't expect it. We didn't think about it. As long as we had an audience, even today I go like, as long as we got people in every seat, white or black, that was it. One time in some cities, a white group would be performing across the street or somewhere in another in the same. But we over here in the black club and they were in the white club, and sometimes we all get together after a show and sit around and talk somewhere. But it was just that segregated. It was expected. It was in your bones. So
I heard even downtown was like that. I said downtown you had a black theater movie theater downtown, if I'm mistaken. Back in the day, I don't know how true it is.
Well, yeah, we had what we called the Lennox.
The Lennox, yeah.
But it was on 9th Street. It was a black theater, and then we had the Miller, and you had the Majeska, you had the Imperial, but back in that day, you could go see a movie at the Imperial or one of those, but you had to sit way up in the boondocks.
Mm.
I mean, way up there. Even if you go to the show now at the Imperial, if you get the top seat, when I say top, the highest seat, that's where black people were. We weren't allowed to sit down in there.
Even if you had the money.
Even if you had the money.
Mm.
So when I say I started being there for people like me, maybe I was talking about black folk. I was just talking about my life.
I think when you're saying people like me, like even looking at you and even hearing what I'm hearing so far, only 50-some minutes, of course, it's so multi-faceted as far as like who you are. Like, okay, it's this one side who loves sports.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one side who may have had I ain't saying angry side, but you was like, hey, if I get mad, I might hit you.
Mm-hmm.
It's that side of you. Then it's the side I'm smiling, I'm happy,
Yeah.
like it's fine.
Yeah.
Then it's the side my mom said I can do this, I'm gonna do this. So it's so many different sides to you. So I think when you say people like me, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm not even putting a color to it. So as much as I'm putting people who have real life situations that that kind of just went ahead and propelled themselves to do better or to overcome that, or I want to do this, I think I can do it, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that was it. How did I become a playwright? Oh, God.
Yeah, you didn't go to school. You didn't get no accreditation for
Right.
it. You didn't get no diploma or degree for it. You said, I'm gonna write this. You wrote it. It's gonna be a play.
And
It was a
just
play.
think, I had the hardest time in English at Albany State. They had the 101 that was freshman English, and they had 099 that was high school English. In other words, you didn't get no credit. I had to take 099 at Albany State twice. And then 101 freshman English, I think I had to take that twice. Then I caught on to a little bit, but I never got, the highest grade I ever got in English was C. And part of that was because I didn't believe in me, that I thought I was dumb. And there are a lot of young folk out there right now probably going through that same thing.
When you say people like me, I think about that as well. I think about someone who, for a good part of their life, didn't believe in themselves, and then started to believe in themselves and said, "Well, I believe in myself. Maybe it's too late to somebody else, but to me, it's right on time. I'm gonna go ahead and start my own thing. I'm gonna go ahead and do it this way." And not just artists, just a person in general. Like listening to your stories, like even though you kind of breeze through some of the stories, it's like I can still see where you catapulted yourself out of that. Like just being resilient and not taking no for an answer sometimes. Even when you start in the theater and she say, "Hey man, that's too much time. That's not enough time. You need a month more." And you're like, "I'm not trying to hear that." Nope. Because at this point you already believe in yourself.
Right.
Like I already done. They told me I can get D plus.
Mm-hmm.
I believed them and I got D's.
Right, I believed them. She did.
So I told myself I can get C's.
Mm-hmm.
Then I told myself I can get B's.
Mm-hmm.
Then I told myself I can get A's.
Right.
Then I got a girlfriend.
Then I got a girlfriend. Boom. But fortunately for me, I was able to have Ernestine Robinson, who started with me. She was a teenage friend of mine back in the day, and she started with me in 75, and she's still here to this day. And my wife, she wasn't my wife then, but she got involved in mini theater in 75 as well. So
real quick. I know she wasn't your wife then, but did you like her?
no, it was when she first joined the mini theater, she was a student here in 11th grade. So no, none at all. And then around 22 years old, she was still here, and she made a comment one day. She said, "I used to have a crush on you." I'm like, huh? It never crossed my mind. But
Right.
once that was said, and then that's when it sort of started, my thinking started changing. And so, but she has been here and she has worked so hard. She's over there right now. She has been here 50 years. And we've been through unemployment. We've been through no employment at the mini theater. We worked many years without pay. Even to this day, I'm still holding my September check. Okay, and she is too. So it's been difficult financially, but the reward is just great to see the smile on the kid's face when they come in. "Hey, Mr. Butler."
Yeah, I seen that even when walking through just a minute ago, walking through here.
Man, it's just. And one lady asked me, "Why do you do it? Why do you do all this?" And I said, "I love them." And that was it. But feeling human, that's another issue too. Human, when you feel like you're dumb, you don't feel human. And I think even to this day, I don't feel 100% human. That's how bad segregation did me. I think I'm about 70. I feel 75, 76% human. Whereas you might feel, whatever your age is, you might feel 100% human.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It takes 100. See, it took them over 200 years to make us feel that way, and it's gonna take 100 years for my age group. Now, I mean, not all of us now, but I feel more human than I've ever felt in my life. But I don't feel 100% because I'm still trying to wash off the segregation and the being whipped for wetting the bed. And in 7th grade, one of my 7th grade male teachers slapped me, just slapped me too, so like a man would slap another man, and nothing ever was done about it. And so all of that, and going.
What was the reason? Like just for no reason?
Well, one morning I was in 7th grade Collins Elementary School, and I was waiting on my friend who was coming.
Just real quick, I'm sorry. I want to make different times. So not the slap part, that too, but just you saying Collins Elementary. When I'm hearing, I'm thinking first through fifth. So back then it was
First through seventh.
gotcha. Okay, the whole time you were saying, I kept saying maybe he mean middle school. I don't know. What he mean.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we didn't have middle school.
I got you.
You know,
Well, different times, man. You know?
Yeah. First through seventh, and if you didn't have money to go to lunch, you didn't go to lunch. There was no such thing as free breakfast.
Oh wow.
So those of us that didn't have money, we were hungry all day in school, and our mamas didn't get home until late. So you didn't eat dinner sometime till 6 or 7. Okay, and so anyway, this particular morning, I'm waiting on my friend. He was coming toward class. School hadn't started, but we were getting ready to go in the classroom. And so this teacher came by and said, "Butler, get in that room." And like, just yelled at me. And I said, "I'm 7th grade now." And he said, I said, "I'm waiting on my friend Smokey." He just turned around and slapped me as hard as he could.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, boys didn't cry.
Black teacher, white teacher,
Black teacher.
Oh wow.
See, black teacher. You see, back then, black teachers could whip children like
I
that.
hear about that. I be hearing about that. That's
Just like
wild.
masters beat the slaves. See, African Americans, at least African Americans, adopted that way of making you, forcing you to do what they want you to do with your parents and your teachers, and we accepted it, you know, and so I went in this class that day, and my teacher, 7th grade teacher, she knew something was wrong, and she said, "Tyrone, come to my desk." She said, "What's wrong with you?" And I told her, "Mr. Lawrence Dix slapped me." And she said, "You must have been doing something wrong. So go over there and sit down at your desk and put your head down on your desk." And that was when the water came, because I loved her so much. I knew she was going to protect me.
Mm.
So when I say I don't feel 100% human, when you go back and all of that, and you take all of that, it's hard to get through that. And when you break your leg, you got to go stay in a colored ward for 2 weeks. And to hear people scream, black people scream because they were in pain. But we were all on the same, regardless of what your ailment or your injury, that we were on a hallway, like a long hallway on each side, beds on each side.
That's even pregnancy and stuff too, right? Oh, it's something different. Yeah. I had she's the old city administrator, Janice Allen Jackson on.
Oh yeah.
Amazing interview. Oh my God. But she had a whole a little bit on my thing about the color war. I said, what that mean? Mind you, I'm 1990. You know, I don't know nothing about this. And I'm from up north. I didn't grow up no southern roots. You know, so I didn't know anything about that. I had my grandmother would tell me stories like when she was younger, and I think even back then, like even you finishing school is a big thing to me, because she didn't finish. She said she just had to start working. So she quit and then had kids and left the kids and went up north to work, sent money back. And that's
Well,
what it was
my
like back
mother
then.
was born in Edgefield, South Carolina, which is 30 miles or something from here.
Yeah.
And she went as far as the 6th grade because they had to work in the field, and they couldn't go to school until after they did their work in the field.
What about your dad?
My dad is from here. My dad was super cool. You know, he loved to hang out on the corner, and he was a painter. He paint houses and stuff like that. But my dad wasn't really supportive of me. Like I said, he used to whip me.
But
you know,
was you was
when I was a little baby.
were you his only boy?
No, it was 3 of us, 3 boys. But at that time, it was 2 boys,
You
2 girls.
Of the boys, oldest, youngest.
I'm the middle
Okay.
boy, and I'm the middle child, whatever that means.
Well, was it like that with all of y'all? Like he whipped all of y'all? Or was it just you?
Me. I guess maybe because I was the only one waiting to bed. I don't recall.
Gotcha.
But it was only me, and you think about that as a kid, why me? You know. So as far as my dad goes, you know, he said one thing I thought was very good. He said, I don't ever want to leave home. I said, I love Augusta. I don't ever want to leave home. He was grown then, I was grown, and he was standing over there with his mama. And he said, the world is your home. I never thought about it like that. The wherever you go, that's your home. But as far as his support, I don't think he ever saw a play. He never saw me play football. He never heard me sing in the choir, chorus. So I had a thing going. I said, I used to pray to God, please don't let me be like my daddy.
Mm.
And I thought my daddy was a mean man. And that hurt me. And so please don't let me be like my daddy. So but anyway, we came through it. Mama was a good provider, and even though we just didn't at least I didn't go to lunch every day. Mama and whatever. See, girls, we understood that though.
Yeah.
The girls got whatever first. If mama had a nickel or a dime, when we left to go to school, she would give that nickel to my oldest sister, Cynthia, and my sister under me the money because the girls had to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And that I learned. I think I have that in me now. I know that's old fashioned, but I'm gonna make sure that Mrs. Butler is taken care of because I grew up where you're supposed to make sure females are taken care of.
No, I think you might need to open up a new school for school how to treat women.
Yeah.
That might be what Augusta or the world might need as well. So
yeah.
I always ask this question, but you spoke about a lot, but what does art mean to you when you think of art, whether it be theater, singing, dancing, painting, writing, filming, light, the background work, all of that stuff, sound check, whatever. When you think of it in totality, what does art mean to you?
Well, in a short way to say that, I don't know if you remember the old movie, Imitation of Life. To me, it is an opportunity to imitate life. It really does. Yeah. Have you ever heard of that movie?
Mm-mm.
Imitation of Life is a movie with a black lady. She's a stout black lady, mama, and her daughter is very, very light, and she wanted to pass as white. So there she was, an imitation of life. She wasn't white, nor was she black enough to be considered black. And once she was discovered, this white guy she wanted to marry, once he found out she really was black, he beat her. And so it gives artists an opportunity to imitate life. And that's what it is up there. That's why I write about life, my experiences. I can't write about yours. I can't write about the white experience. I can write it, but I wouldn't have the feelings that you would have, passion.
Right. You had got the letter, and I know you said yada yada yada, but the letter when you got your contract for picking, they said your style of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, how would you describe your style of writing?
Personal, my style of writing. You see, there's a format they give you that they would like to see you follow, and my style of writing is starting at the beginning of the experience, and I make a strong middle. I didn't know I was doing this, but I believe that there's a touching beginning. You have to hold the audience right there in the beginning. And then somewhere in the middle, you have to hit them again with something important and powerful. And then at the very end, you hit them. And I probably learned that from watching. We didn't have a TV when I was younger, growing up.
Yeah, I heard them things. How'd y'all live? Like, I hear y'all not having TV. What did y'all do for fun?
Well, everything we did, we had to create. If we wanted to play basketball, we took an old pole and we took up some backboard, something, and then got an old round something, made a basket. And if we wanted to play golf, somebody had an old putter, and we would cut holes in a field and put the ball there. That way, if we wanted to play volleyball, we created something and in this same field, and everything we had to create everything that we wanted to do, which made this better for me to create the mini theater because we had to create all our games. And so now we don't have a TV, but I liked watching cowboy pictures. So sometimes I'll go to 2 people, 3 people had a television on our street. So I go to one house, knock on the door. Who is it, Tyrone? What you want? Can I watch TV? Okay. And then there's Mama. Tyrone say, can you watch TV? Yeah. Okay. Then they would say, sometimes they would say, who is it, Tyrone? Can I watch TV? Mama say she ain't home. That I was too young to realize that you can't go to people's houses every night. You know what I mean? They want to have some. But I just wanted to see the Lone Ranger. That's the cowboy picture. And Tonto.
Tonto, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to see. And then when they wouldn't let me in, I go to another house. And then they will let me in. So that's how I began to formulate a style.
You had an inventory of who had TVs in the neighborhood. Let's
That's
start
right.
there, right?
That's right.
So you know who door to knock on.
Right. And each day now I watch a Perry Mason.
Oh my God, my grandma loved Perry Mason.
And
She
see,
did.
if you watch Perry Mason, they give you the hook right at the beginning. And even though you've seen it before, I've seen it before, but I never remember who did the killing. So I go to court. I wrote a play called the Parents of Tabitha Tutt versus DJ Smoke, just like Perry Mason. Just like Perry, it was a court case. And the audience was the jury. And they voted on if this person was guilty or not guilty. So my style of writing probably comes from television, the Lone Rangers, Leave It to Beaver, those old pictures. And I studied them. I loved them. I love them to this day. So if there's a style, it came from watching television.
This is a question I have on the fly. Just listen to you talk. Could you say you're working on one now where all God's children have guns?
Got guns.
Got guns. When you sit down to write, to start writing, I'm pretty sure it's a process. What is that process like for you with the writing? Is it draft? Do you just do a run through? Do you have people read it over first to kind of see if you need to change something out? Are you envisioning it only as a play? Do you envision it ever as cinema, like movie style? Like, what's your process in writing plays?
I mostly think of just getting it on stage. When I get an idea, I know the whole story. And the easy part for me is to write the whole story down. I just don't have time to do it in one setting or 2 settings or 10 settings. But the story is there. All God's children got guns. It was there. So I wrote it down. But it takes me a good another year to draft out over and over and over again. And then what I do is I get people that are in theater to read it and do a critique. And you have to be very strong to accept a critique. That makes you so much better. If somebody's critiquing your work and you answering everything they say or questioning, but see, the audience, they can't ask you anything. Mm-hmm. So you have to make it crystal clear on what that play is about so they can follow it. But that's what I do. I get theater people to read it, and then eventually I get some of our students to do what we call a readers theater. And we get chairs and then put them on stage. We have reading rehearsals. Mm-hmm. They don't learn the script. They learn to read it and feel it. And then we have an audience of a few people, and then they read it. And I'm back there listening. I got a good ear for something. Oh, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't go there. There's just something God-given. And then after it's over, the audience will critique. And then I take what they say. I have to keep in mind that you're the writer. You have the right to accept what they say, add it or not. Mm-hmm. And once you feel strong enough with that, and it's like when your play is ready. It may take me 3 years. Not every day on it now because I got other things to do, but it may take me 3 years to really be done with the play. But that's my style. I get the idea. I know the whole play. I know it in my head. Get it down. And that's when the work starts. The working on it.
I know because you started in 75, so talk about like I'm gonna just say the first half of the 50. 50 is a long time. I'm not even 40 yet. So 50 is a long time. Um, talk about just like that 75 to the 2000 era of the Augusta Mini Theater. Like, what like as you're growing this theater, what is your thought process? Is it plays after play after play every week? Is it more so for the youth? Is it teaching and training? Is it just a home for people who quote unquote were like you, or people who weren't like you and they just liked art? Like what was the what do you think the Augusta Mini Theater even meant to Augusta during these times?
Well, I don't think it meant a whole lot to the white community because it was still so, well, even today, segregated back then, and our audience were 98% black, like it is today. But you go to New York or you go to Atlanta and do the same play we might do, then your audience might be 50% black and 50% white, just different in different cities. And when a white group put on a black play, you have 56% white. But if I put on the same play, I got 2% white. That's just the way
Yeah.
the way it is. But the thinking back then was to just be creative. I was trying to get stuff out of me. It was so much in me as a storyteller, and then as the mini theater was growing, then I began to see the work in the talent in these young people, and then we did what we call a YDC tour, a youth development center tour. So we had to write original works that would relate to these young boys and young girls in jail, and we did that for about 8 straight years. And the experience of it was just great for me as a writer and for our students to go into a youth prison so that they will learn they don't want to be there.
Right.
And we would leave out on a Sunday night and we'd do 26 youth prisons and RYDC prisons. And we'd do the first week, okay? Then we'd come back home that Friday night, then go back out again that Sunday. And we were out the whole 2 weeks. But the criticism we received was that Tyrone Butler is teaching bad art. What qualifies Tyrone Butler to start an art school? So the criticism from the white community, and mostly from the white arts community, the criticism was very bad, was very strong. But it helped me. It motivated me. So in 1982, I was one of the 6 people to win the Governor's Award for Excellence in the Arts at the Woodruff Arts Center in Atlanta. I hadn't even hardly been to Atlanta, so I didn't know how to get there. So now you got to find the Woodruff Arts Center. And there we were in all this audience, a predominantly white audience, and the former governor of Georgia, Carl Sanders, and his wife they got an award. So here I am on stage with the former governor of Georgia, but I'm teaching bad art. And so the guy who said that, the local guy who said that, was at the event that night. And when I got my award, he saw me in the audience and he said to me, well, I guess bad art is better than no art. It wasn't like congratulations. But bad art, I guess, is better than no art. But all that criticism worked as a motivator for me. I no longer touch that way anymore. It doesn't mean if you criticize my work now, then I just say, that person has the right to say that. And I listen to what those criticisms are, and I put them into my life,
Right.
into my work. Now, it wasn't easy to do when I was younger. So the first 25 years, it was just about feeling who I was and loving these students and imitating life. I didn't know I was imitating life, but I was just writing about things that I lived. But at first, now we started out sort of just doing published works, Ceremonies in Dark Old Men, Pearly Victorious, The Wiz, uh, Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah.
And so we kind of started that way. Then we noticed that other art groups were doing the same thing. So we started looking around and we started seeing young folk getting in trouble. So maybe we need to write about some actual issues. So that made me start thinking about when I was a child, start writing. Things change technologically, but the same issues are still there. Getting along with your parents, fighting, or picking on people. So write about issues that could benefit these young people and senior citizens. Now we had a senior citizen program too when we first started, and so for the last 30 years we've been just doing original works that are local issues, but with national implications. So start where you are, first 25 years, and the next 25 years, we had started thinking about. Accidentally, we learned about money to build stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you remember the late Willie Mays.
Heard of him.
He was a very strong city council person. He was an interim mayor once. And we went to high school together. He was a little younger, but we bumped into each other one Saturday morning. He said, T, are you going to apply for SPLOST money? SPLOST, what's that?
Good
And
question.
he said, he explained it to me, and I still didn't really get it.
Nobody does.
Yeah, I don't get it. So he said, I said, when do you have to have a proposal in? He said, Tuesday. This was Saturday. Willie, why are you just telling me this? And we just accidentally bumped into each other that day. So Tuesday, I couldn't show, but my wife showed up with a letter. Dear Mayor, we want to be considered. Everybody else showed up with a proposal and slideshow. And, oh, Lord. And so we were going to renovate where we were. That's what we wanted to do. So the SPLOST list came out. First tier, second tier, third tier. Third tier, the Mini Theater is on the list. What does that mean? So I called Mr. Henry Brigham, who was the commissioner at the time. I said, Mr. Brigham, Tyrone, hey, T, how you doing today? He said, I said, what does third tier means? He said, it means when all the money take care of everything in the first tier, then the rest of it goes to the second tier, and if any money is left, it goes to the third tier. I said, I'm on the third tier, Mr. Brigham. He said, you are? I said, how can I get on the first tier? He said, well, first, Chief, you got to own your building. And at that time, we were on 8th Street.
Yeah.
I said, we do own that building. He said, what? Black folk didn't own stuff downtown. You own that building? I said, yes, sir. He said, let me get back with you. Got back with me, and I don't know how long it took him, but he got back with me. And then the list came out again. Mini Theater, first tier, what was it? $400,000.
Whoa.
First tier. So we were going to renovate. So, but where we were on 8th Street, there was no room for expanding nowhere. It was tight.
Yeah.
And so there was another $750,000 in the money for inner city arts. By that time, the city and county had merged. But who is inner city arts?
Oh, this had been 90-something then.
This was like in
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Okay, because I heard that the county and city, I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah.
That it was like Richmond County and I guess the city merge.
You know, the merge may have been in the 90s. You're right.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
This what I'm talking about, this money deal. They had $750,000 in there for inner city arts. Mini Theater had been inner city arts ever since we started in 1975, right?
And you ain't know nothing about this.
No. So then...
You struggling, you working,
Yeah,
you doing all this, trying to make ends meet, all this stuff. And it's,
Right.
all you had to do is write a proposal, come down there
Yeah.
and get this money.
Get the money. But by that time, it has merged. And now the Imperial Theater said it was considered inner city arts. Wait a minute. But it still has merged, so they're right.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got into a political battle, And so what they did eventually was that Mr. Lee Beard led our charge, the former Commissioner Lee Beard. He led the charge for us, and we got $450,000 of that. So now we got $850,000 to renovate a building that it really won't do a whole lot of good because you can't go up higher. You can't go up here because the building over here, it was a attached building.
Yeah.
We started looking for land, and we eventually bought some land up the street, blah, 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 sold it, and bought this land. Then we didn't have enough money. We needed $3.2 million to build over there. So we had to have a major campaign, and SPLOST came up again. So we ended up getting a few more dollars. We ended up getting $2.2 million from the city to build over there. And the state gave us $500,000, thanks to former Senator Charles Walker and Ben Allen, others, George Brown, on the state level. And the Mini Theater personally raised $500,000.
Oh, wow. That's what's up.
So we ended up buying the property, all the property, and building it over there for $3.2 million. $3.2 million included this when we first started out, but it took us 12 years to come up with 3.2. So we had to leave this off because we needed another 1.2. And now here it is, another 17 years. We finally raised enough money. We still need couple $100,000, but we raised enough money. It took us 17 years. City put in 1.3 SPLOST money, and we raised the balance of it from people and this, that, and the other. So we're now sitting in a building that's cost about $5.5 million, led by this guy who we're told, the highest grade you make in college will be a D as in dog plus. So, and if somebody wanted to buy this, it may be like $8 million.
Yeah.
The value of it.
But you started from ground zero, scratch.
Ground zero.
Nothing.
Our first budget in 1975 was zero. Zero. Finally got $100. Mallory Miller had a newspaper called Augusta News Review. If you sell 30 subscriptions, you get $100. So the T1 Express, all of us got together and we sold 30 subscriptions. So our first budget was what? $100.
$100.
Okay. So here we are now, sitting in a $5-point-something million facility. Inner city. One lady asked me, a white lady asked me, she said, Tyrone, how did you do it over there? We didn't have this then. I said, what do you mean? She said, I graduated. She said, I graduated Richmond Academy. And back then it was segregated. And so how did you come out of segregation to do this? I had never thought about it that way. I get up every morning, I told her, and I go to work. That's all.
Yeah, that's inspirational. I think when I think of your story, I'm thinking about too. Not only being during the segregation era, but the schools you went to. We look at. I mean, people don't. I love Josie, of course, but it got its own connotations when you think about Josie. Gilbert Manor, I hear about that a lot. It got its own connotation when you think about that project during those times it was around. I'm thinking about a young man who didn't receive the support from the first person he knew to be a man. Like that can stick with you as well. I think about you feeling like I wasn't really a good student. I just knew I loved this. I knew I liked to do this. That's all I knew. I knew I liked to do this. I think about you graduating college and high school and college and defying the odds and being resilient and making grades that you couldn't make, but also still in this process of doing what you love art-wise, not knowing even the business side of it because you probably were struggling for 20 how many years, And the whole time we had SPLOST, the whole time you could have, and so I think even like just listening to your story, listening to, how you got here, and then you saying all this with a smile. You probably don't, what that lady said to you? you smiling. You don't know you're smiling, but you smiling the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that part. I like the fact that you can tell this stuff, you can tell these stories, you can share these memories and smile.
Mm-hmm.
I think about someone who, I don't know if this is your biggest play or if this is your biggest moment, but I think about the pick and play you talk about, that you told me at least. And I think about you, because I'm big on that now. Like, I think in life we feel like we got time to do things. We feel like we got so much time. Like, we just feel like we got all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you saying, oh man, I'll catch Melvin another time.
Mm-hmm.
That was the time to catch Melvin.
Yeah.
That was the only time.
That was it.
And then you say, well, you know what? What can I do? You know what? My heart is telling me to write about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then look what happened from there.
Mm-hmm.
So now every time you get this royalty feed, it's this check from your art, from your life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about art, I think about how it does imitate life, for one. But I think about you writing these stories, and you didn't get into it a lot, but you mentioned like you like to tell stories, you like writing about your life. So I'm sure somehow it's something in there about someone who couldn't get a certain grade but got a grade. I'm sure it's someone who maybe didn't get, maybe wanted to get along with their dad but couldn't get along with their dad, but still whatever wanted to play sports. It's like I'm pretty sure everything you said in your life is a story, a play for that. And mind you, people are enjoying this stuff, but this is your real life.
Right. It's real life, and you just love it.
Art is beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
Art is beautiful.
And it can help in so many ways. See, our YDC tour did so much for those boys. But there were critics.
I want to say something about the critic part real quick, and I wish back in them times and like I said, it's a time thing. Today, I don't think us people like look like me and you would care about certain critics and what they say, because they don't hold that much power. We took a lot of power from that kind of media, because those critics not going to YDC. Their kids aren't in YDC. They don't understand that art. So they saying bad art. No, it's like this is our life. You think it's art. This is real life.
Right. We showing our real life, our
Yeah.
real experiences.
Yeah, you write imaginations. This is really what somebody's going through.
Yeah.
And so what you calling bad art is about 500 to 600, 1,000 kids' lives every day.
Right.
But you're right, it's bad art.
One experience too, you reminded me of something, what you go through. We got invited to perform, my wife got invited to perform at a nightclub here in Augusta called Pappy's. It was an adult nightclub, and she was going to do a scene from Harriet Tubman. And it was during the week, and so when we went in, people having a good time at the club. They're not there to hear no play, right?
Right.
And so when my wife went on stage, we had her made up, looking like older and stuff. And some people were watching and some people weren't. The owner, Bill Wright, went back in his office and got a gun. Biggest gun I ever seen in my life. And he just walked through the theater with the gun down like this. And everybody got quiet. And everybody came to listen to my wife play. And when she got through with it, they were just all over her. Yeah, But Bill, it took Bill to walk through the club with a gun. but they gained something. The audience did, and some of them people still came. They came to the mini theater after that to see our work. And then, but the prison, this guy came up to me, a little boy came up to me after the play. He said, at one of the youth prisons, "Excuse me, sir, but did you look at my file?" "Pardon me? Did you look at my file?" "No." "Why you say that?" He said, "Because that's my life." What?
Damn.
So I'm going like, oh. And then not too many years ago, I went to a regular 7-Eleven store, and this little white boy was the cashier. So I bought my stuff, and he said, "Excuse me, sir, do you work with a theater?" I said, "Yeah." Did y'all do a play and took it to the YDC?" I said, yeah. He said, I thought I remembered you. He said, I was at YDC then. Yeah, that boy told me the whole story.
Oh wow.
And I'm looking at you. You went to YDC and you had the cashier. You the cashier. You know, you've come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and he knew the story. And one little boy right here in Augusta, we were helping them write a play. And they were going to do the play. And he said to me one day, Mr. Butler, I'm not going to be able to do the play now. Why? I'm going to get out. You going what? I'm going to get out. I'm going to ask my PO if I can stay in until we do the play. I said, no, you don't want to stay in YDC. You want to get out of YDC. But he liked it so much, he wanted to go to his probation officer and ask if his time could be extended.
Well, okay, so you were doing these plays in the YDC was doing these plays. Oh wow. I thought okay, I thought y'all were going in for entertainment for them. You were using
this particular situation.
Got you. In Augusta.
In Augusta.
Okay.
We went up there and my job was to where you from, what did you do to get
them
in
involved.
Here? Yeah. And I wrote a story based on what they told me. What did you do to get in here? What do you need for you to be better? And where do you want to go? What do you need after you leave here to help you improve? They told me their story. One of the boys said, I said, what did you do? I set the sofa on fire at my house. And he said, I said, why did you do that? He said, because my mama was sleeping on it. Your mama was asleep on the sofa and you set it on fire. Yes, sir. Why did you do that? Because I was trying to get my mama to stop beating on me. Every time I take a shower and I come down the stairs and she's taking an extension cord when she's on drugs and she beats me. So I wasn't trying to kill my mama. I was just trying to keep her from beating me. So that's why I'm here. I said, okay, so what do you need when you leave here to help you improve your life? My mama.
Damn.
The common thing they had, and most common thing was my mama, boom. So I wrote the play and titled it The Common Denominator. It's the common denominator in all their lives. They went through the same thing, and what they need mostly to improve is the same person that abused them. They still want to go back to my mama. And that play right now, and we did it with them. We had 20-something boys when it started out. But we didn't know it was a short-term facility, the local YDC. So by the time I got to the show, I didn't have but 5. So we made the adjustments. The morning of the show, my wife and I, we go over there, we ain't got but 3.
Oh, yeah.
One little boy got in trouble, so they had him in lockdown. Another little boy went to the doctor to get his eyes worked on. So now we sitting there with 3 guys. And one little boy said, Mr. Butler, I know all their parts. I know their parts. I'm saying to myself, you don't even know your part. I said, well, go ahead and say it. He did it. He did their parts better he did his own. So I said, okay, just how we gonna do it? 5 minutes before showtime, that little boy they put in lockdown, he done talked him out and let him come in. He come running in. Mr. Butler, I'm here. Then the boy with the bad eyes couldn't see. And there he come running in. So we had 5 cast members out of 20, whatever it was in the beginning. And they did a play called The Common Denominator. Now, I haven't sent it off yet for publication consideration. And I'm talking over 10, 15 years to see. That's how long it takes me to get to stuff. But it's about their lives. And that's, in my opinion, the best way to communicate to anybody about anything is through the arts.
Yeah, that's dope. I love that. I do want to ask, like, when you talking about the Augusta Mini Theater, 'cause I seen a lot of kids in there now, and I even walking through, I seen pictures, and I've talked to some people over the last 2 weeks or so, and they said they graduated from, so that you can graduate from here as well. This is it's a school, technically speaking. It's I'm thinking Augusta Million Theater, like, it's just, you just do plays, but it's actually, it teaches you, you learn to act, to sing, to dance, to channel that art, inner art of you. Um, so talk about that, because I want to make sure people that's watching this at least get that as well. Talk about that process of it being a school and how that, what's the requirements for even graduating from here.
Well, we started out as a school, and as I said earlier, we were the first art school in Augusta, including Davison. Davison wasn't here when we first started. As a matter of fact, I served on a committee to help find a school that they didn't call it Davison at the time, but a fine art school. So we were here years prior to that, and so when you come here, you have an opportunity to take all of the arts. And when they say graduate, that means that they had been here 4 years or more
Got you.
in the program, and so when they go to college, we provide them with college money for books,
Okay.
and so we help them that way. And the young lady, when you first came in, she was, I don't know if you saw her, she was sort of stylish young lady. She is, as you might say, a graduate.
Yeah, I seen her, had a purple shirt on. Yeah.
Guess what she's doing now?
What's that?
She's teaching theater at Deer Chase Elementary School.
Oh, wow, that's what's up. See? Yeah.
Okay? And she started right here with that. Go over to Glen Hills High School and see the band. The band director is a former music student here at the Mini Theater. He eventually went to Albany State and got his degree, blah, blah, blah. Go to Murphy Middle School and go to the arts program, and you'll see the art teacher who started her art classes right here and went on. Now she's teaching art here. So she's back home. She went to Voorhees College and wherever. And so that's what we mean by you come in and we prepare you for whatever it is you want to be. We got lawyers. And one girl who's a lawyer in D.C. area, she said theater taught her how to argue a case or cases. So we got lawyers out there, we got school teachers out there, we got plumbers out there. Arts, can teach you so much.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because it seems as if, like, even the Augusta Million Theater it acts as a conduit to even just further education. Like, you're going to build a foundation here, maybe come out your shell a little bit. Because even in school, sometimes it's hard to come out your shell if you're not playing sports. If you're not, and schools don't do the whole arts and talent shows. That's not a thing no more. No. It's sports or nothing else at this point. Right. You'd be lucky if the band even get to perform, at the games. And so something like this is really good for kids who are trying to come out their shell or who are trying to channel their inner art or just find themselves, because you can find yourself through art as well. You said the one young lady who said she learned how to argue in theater. It's like, she probably, whatever role she had, she channeled that I can do this. That role gave her the power or the strength to say, oh, I can do X, Y, Z. That confidence you was talking about that you got in college, they're getting that way before high school now, So I think that's a good thing as well. So I like that a lot. Any moments like that you're most proud of? Like I know, I guess I'm talking about more so after 2000. Like this is the new era of kids and the new group, the technology driven group. TVs and all that.
Yeah, a small thing was when I was at Collins Elementary School. Our principal at the last day of school to get out for Christmas, Dr. Charles L. Butler, gave us an orange and a peppermint stick. And wow, for a poor kid who no lunch money, an orange and a peppermint stick were everything. So for the last whatever number of years, next week is last day of class here before Christmas break. Every day, our students who, let's say they take drama on Monday, but they're not coming back, we give all our students an orange and a peppermint stick. They are now asking about it. Are we going to get Ms. Butler? And they're asking Mrs. Butler, We gonna get her. We went all the way to Aiken to find peppermints. We could not find peppermint sticks in Augusta the week before last. We went to Aiken, Walmart in Aiken. No, Roses, one of them, in Aiken to find peppermint sticks. So they're looking forward to it. But one year, this little girl went to college, and they know they can still get it if they're in college. We had closed for the break. She called our house. Mr. Butler, this Braylon. Hey, Braylon, how you doing? Can I get my peppermint stick and orange? The little things like that.
Yeah.
The family, we are so close to these kids and their parents. And the orange and peppermint stick connects us as well. And we got some of the best teachers anywhere here at the Mini Theater teaching piano, dance, visual arts, drama.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
man.
we have academic coaching. What is academic coaching? Students come here the day they're not taking a class, and we have a teacher, certified teacher. She teaches in the school system. Certified teacher teaches students how to study to improve your grades. And
I like that.
So we call it academic coaching.
I like that.
So yeah, so we're different, and the YDC tour, and it's just been awesome.
Nah, it sound like it. And it sound like I said, I've been around for a minute. They've been doing podcasts for almost a decade now. Then just hearing about it, like, okay, then I found more stuff about it. Then I'm finding out people that I knew was a part of it. Like, oh, why you didn't mention nothing? Oh, I did. I used to do this. I'm not knowing that, you know. So it's just like, you know, you found something and you become a leader of this. And then you mentioned earlier, you were saying that you know, you did the YDC stuff and they kind of gave you a critique. But I feel like a lot of times when you're leading something, I seen a quote that they had said, it was something about, you know, a lot of times people want to be a leader because they think it comes with applause, but it really comes with criticism.
Right.
And I think, and blame. Like whatever go bad, you can get blamed for. But that's your, as a leader, that's your job to take that with stride, pivot and adjust, and turn that into whatever. So you might make it a play. You might, you know, get better at something else later on, like whatever it is. So I think that's amazing too. But yeah, it's funny talking to you. Like you hear so much of people saying, I'm asking them like, y'all got any questions for me? Any question for me? Like, it's hard because we always talk to them. We know everything about them. We don't know what to ask, you know. But I feel like even watching this, I feel like people will learn more about the person. How my stylist is always like, I'm gonna talk about whatever it is that you're known for, but I think knowing a person sometimes make whatever they're known for a little more detailed, you know, just to understand the why behind a lot of stuff. So yeah, I definitely had a pleasure talking to you. I do have one more question though, because the theater looks amazing. Thank you. Let me move my camera. I normally don't do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it this one time. I don't never take the camera apart, but I'm gonna take it apart so they can see the theater.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Theater looks amazing.
Yeah, 142 seat theater. It took 17 years to get this portion, to raise money to get this portion, and this portion is $2.5 million to construct the Augusta Mini Theater, brand new, not a show yet. We do a grand opening on Martin Luther King holiday weekend. On the 16th, that Friday, at 5 o'clock, we have the ribbon cutting ceremony. And then that Saturday, we're having the dedication performance by our students and alumni. We have alumni that are out there doing movies. One or two of them are going to be here as well.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. And then that Sunday, 18th, the day before the holiday, King holiday, we're going to do a 3 o'clock show here. 3 o'clock dedication show and tour of the whole building.
Okay.
So each day for the ribbon cutting on the 16th, people will be able to take a tour of the whole building.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try to make that end the show. I want to bring my daughter here to see to get the feel. I think this is something she'll like. As I'm watching, I'm like, if she really want to act, this is what she wants. She want to come here.
Yeah.
And then also, how can just as a I guess promo, how can people like if like, somebody want their kid to be a part of what they need to do, who they need to reach out to, how do they apply?
Well, you go online, gusminitheater.org, and you can enroll online and get the application. They can call here at the Augusta Mini Theater.
Any age requirement, age group?
First grade through 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and they can take. There's what we call a $20 registration fee or membership fee, but that's all. Then you can take any class you want. You can take 2 or 3 classes if your schedule allows, and you can take dance. You can take art for the same membership, and we wanted to make it affordable for everybody. And with me, it was not affordable, and it's important to me for it to be affordable. And so we're just looking forward to the grand opening, and we want people to come out and see what we really do.
Well, I didn't see you on the 8th of this October, so I'm gonna say clap it up for 50 years. 50 years.
Yes. We had people to drive through. They donated at least $50, and we did well. Well, we had we celebrated the month, birthday month, from September 8th to October 8th, and so people were sending in donations throughout the month, and we did about $17,000 for the birthday. So. We were very pleased with that.
Nah, this is good stuff, man. It looks good in here. It looks really good in here.
Yeah, not really. They still got a few things to do. This going to be painted black, and they got to do something with that stage and stuff. But they're basically done with it. And the curtains, wow, I love the curtains.
Yeah.
Our colors are red and black, and that's what they did. They tried to keep within the color scheme.
Yeah, this is great.
They got a small dressing rooms in the back, and there's a way that the students can enter from over that way, from over there, from the back, and get into the dressing room, and then come in here and do the show.
When you think about, October 8th, 1975, did you envision this?
No, I envisioned singing. It was only when that first year when the students started coming, I started thinking about, wow, we got to expand this some kind of way. But I was never thinking of building. I really thought that Pepsi-Cola would one day support us, because back then it was this African-American guy who was with Pepsi-Cola, and we had never asked anybody for any money. And he came by and gave us products and gave us a couple $100. That was big. It's still big. But it ended up being Coca-Cola. So you never know.
Yeah.
I know if you saw the concession stand, that's going to be called a Coca-Cola concession stand.
Yeah, I like the layout. I just like the layout. Well, I think too, when it's time, and if you up to it, and before the ribbon, or even that day, I might just bring my camera. Maybe I'll mic you up and do a walkthrough with you or something like that. Just something small, but I think I'm just curious. Like, to me, I feel like I do a lot of stuff in the community, and for me not to know about it, I wonder how many more people don't know about it.
Yeah, a lot.
And so,
COVID.
I think people know you. They know you,
yeah,
but to history and just to really, what you're doing for the kids and all those kids' smiles out there, and some of the kids I know, people I know, they're not kids no more, but that come from this and what they do now, they all successful. Everybody I know is successful, so
we're very proud of them too.
Definitely, man. Well, this was great. I enjoyed talking to you. 2 hours. I don't know if you know it was 2 hours, but it's 2 hours.
No.
Yeah, we went on. This was good stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely wish you much success. You will be hearing more from me. I'm gonna try to come through for the red ribbon cutting, and I just like this date. I'm very, very the lights. Look at the lights. Oh wow, this is good stuff.
Yeah,
50 years.
Yeah,
it's good stuff, man.
And the location is. I was told, whatever you do, don't build in South Augusta.
That's what they say, huh?
Yeah, the leaders, white and black leaders. Why don't you go downtown? They wanted us to be in that property across the street from the Augusta Museum. I think that's Reynolds Street.
Yeah.
That's where they wanted us to go.
Nope, you right here, Dean's Bridge,
right where we
South
need to be.
Augusta.
Right. Whatever you do, don't you put that theater in South Augusta.
But they knew what they was talking to.
No, they didn't know.
You have found your confidence already.
Yeah, I'm gone. So, well, thank you for taking the time.
Oh no, I appreciate
to
this,
do
man,
this.
for real.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. More Than the Masters podcast is a great interview. Thank you, Mr. Butler, for having us, and we wish you nothing but success.
Thank you very much.
All right, More Than the Masters podcast, we out.
We're out.